Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to have a little look at audio and discover why everybody says get a SoundBlaster every time it's mentioned with a Pi or BBB running FPP. So what is this desperate requirement for everybody to use SoundBlaster when you're running FPP on a Pi or BBB? Well, it stems certainly on the Pi from the fact that the original Pis weren't very good at their audio. Back in 2011 or 2012, when the original Pi was being designed, it was being designed for a budget. It had to be able to be made and sold to fit the $35 that the team were aiming to have as their retail price. Now, for that money, they simply couldn't afford to buy a dedicated IC to a digital to analog converter IC to put on the board to make it and make it within the price point. So they had to improvise. And they did so by using the pulse width modulation or PWM outputs from the Broadcom processor and bringing those out with a little bit of noise cancelling out to the audio. And that basic premise is still true on today's Pi 4s. Now, there have been a few changes. Some of the noise filtering on the original Pi was powered by 3 volts 3 coming from the I/O side of the processor. And that meant that as the processor was doing things on the Ethernet or USB buses, the Ethernet on a Pi, of course, is on up to the Pi 3 anyway, is connected to the USB bus. So any noise on the USB bus would mean noise on the audio. Now, they have changed that in later models, so it is not as bad as it used to be. But is it still any good? And why wouldn't we use the headphone jack that is on the Pi 4 or 3B Plus or any other Pi for that matter? Well, except for the Pi 0, which doesn't have one. So the main reason is, there's two main reasons. The first one is quality, and we'll prove that in just a few minutes. And the second one is availability. So the better established Pi hats that have 2 outputs are using the same PWM channels that are used for audio left and right, and therefore you can't run both at the same time. In that case, your only option for audio was to get an external device. Now with the BBB, that choice is even simpler. The BBB simply doesn't have a headphone jack. You have a choice of USB or nothing. So an audio device such as the SoundBlaster is the only answer. Same goes with the Pi 0. We only have HDMI out, we have power in, and we have a single USB out. Get a little adapter from the micro USB to a full size one, and there you go, boom, you've got audio out of a Pi 0. Pi 0, of course, you can, once you stick the pins on, you can stick any normal hat on top. So pretend I've got a requirement for an external adapter. Why would I go for a Creative Labs SoundBlaster over something like a UGreen Smart Digital Life USB sound adapter, or this Sabrent USB adapter? This one, the Sabrent, rocked in at about £7. The UGreen one came in at about £10, and the SoundBlaster comes in at about £20, or about $18 when I checked earlier today. SoundBlaster is a very well-known product line made by a company called Creative Labs, who are based out of Singapore. They have been in the PC audio market since the mid-1980s. And around 1989, they started producing plug-in cards for the PC architecture so you could get audio other than just beeps out of your PC. I think I first met them in the early 1990s, and certainly I remember one Christmas, I think, spending half of the season between Christmas and New Year, when it was wet and horrible outside, busy transcribing the sheet music for Guns N' Roses into MIDI format on my PC, just so that I could listen to it coming out of my SoundBlaster AWE32. Those of you that are similar age to me will understand. It was quite something, and it took me several days of keying to get it right. You kids these days have missed all the fun. So anyway, Creative Labs have been around for a very long time, and they are the top dollar. They are the best of the best when it comes to audio for the mass market on PC. There are some very high grade stuff, obviously, but for the mass market, SoundBlaster is a very good brand. So let's plug these things in and see if they're any good. I've got a Pi 4 here that I've just imaged. I've just whizzed through the basic setup, so that's ready to go now. So let's plug these things in and see if they work and see what we can get out of them. I've got a cable ready that's plugged into my mixer over here, so we'll be able to hear the outputs recorded straight onto the mixer. So we'll be able to hear quite what the audio is doing. And if you're listening to this played back on a decent PC with a decent audio system, then hopefully you'll tell the difference. Let's plug it in. And I have an audio file ready to go. So I've just put that into a sequence so that we can put it straight out if I hit play on FPP. So there's 30 seconds of audio directly from the PC. Now, to me, with the cans on, that didn't sound too bad at all. The levels were a little bit low. Looking at the input on the mixer there, it was running around 70%. So not the highest of outputs, but let's move it on and see what happens next. Now, before I take the audio out of the onboard and move to external devices, I was just doing a little bit of research before I filmed this video, and I found an update on Hackaday from Gordon Hollingworth, who is one of the technical directors at Raspberry Pi, and he recommended that you add a line to the startup file, the config text, which will improve the audio. They've been working on the onboard audio behind the scenes in software, and he says we can improve it if we include this update. Now, we can do this directly from the web interface. If we go to help and SSH shell, we've got to log in. The username is FPP, password is Falcon, unless you've changed it. There we go. And now I'm going to sudo to give me full admin rights. And then we're going to vi. Actually, let's see if we can use nano because it's better, easier for this sort of thing. Boot / config.txt. There we go, we can. So this is the config file that is read by the Pi at first boot. Let's just have a quick buzz down and see if there's any Enable audio is on, that's good. Okay, I don't see anything else there. So I'm going to add this line into the audio section. Now I copied it from my notepad just there, so I should be able to just right click. Okay, there we go. So I've added the line audio PWM mode equals 2. So then I'm going to Control X to exit. Yes, I do want to save it. Thank you. And now we can come out of shell. Yeah. And then I'm going to reboot. And we'll see if that makes any difference to the sound of the audio. Now, if you're just running an amplifier and a set of speakers out into your show to keep the audio local, then the lower level that the Raspberry Pi is producing out the headphone jack won't be a problem to you. You can simply crank the audio slightly on your amplifier. But it might pose a bit of a problem if you're running an FM transmitter, which in the UK you probably shouldn't be doing, but that's a whole separate subject. Okay, so our Pi is back up and running. Let's hit play again on the same piece of music and we'll see if it sounds any better. I think I'm going to have to run the two side by side and then we'll see how we get on. So moving forward, we've got the 3 different audio adapters to try as well. So the first one I'm going to try is this Sabrent USB stereo sound audio adapter. There it is, ready for you. So let's get it open and have a look see what it looks like. There we go. So it's a very basic looking, looks a bit like a Wi-Fi dongle, but with a couple of 3.5mm jacks in the back. So quite a diddy little thing. A little bit plastically, looks a bit cheap and nasty. Let's see if it's any good. So I'm going to unplug my output from the Pi, plug it into the USB and into the Pi, so that's all connected. So I'm going to go into status control, FPP settings, audio, change to the USB audio device, and that's lovely, and it wants a reboot. So there we go, so it's getting a reboot again to pick that up. Okay, the Pi has rebooted. We'll just go and check that the audio is set as we expect. Audio is set to USB device, so we can go back to status and play. Okay, so the levels were certainly higher coming out onto the mixer. I could see the graph was running a lot higher. But the quality, to be fair, it didn't sound any better than coming straight off the Pi. So I don't think I'll be looking at a Sabrent £7 USB audio adapter for the win here. So let's swap it out, and I'm going to switch to the UGreen Smart Digital Life USB sound adapter. Oh. Now, UGreen is a make that I've used before. I've used their USB Ethernet adapters quite regularly on Pis. If I'm connecting up a color light card to a Pi 4 and I want to connect, or a Pi 3, and I want to connect to a network as well, then I'll quite often use a UGreen adapter to give me a second port. So I've had no issues with them there. I'm just peeling this because it's annoying me. There we go. Let's peel. Got to peel the wrapper off, haven't you? It's otherwise it's just got to be done. There we are. Right, peeled. Okay, so overall it looks nice, but it feels a bit cheap and nasty. Let's swap it in and find out. You're over there. Right, we're plugged in. Let's see if FPP is ready for us. Still, we've still got the same USB audio device, which may well be correct because it is just a USB audio device. I'm going to go for a reboot to see if that makes any difference. Okay, I just heard the headphones calling out the IP, so it sounds like it's connected. Let's have a look. Yeah, looks good. So let's give this one a play and see what this sounds like. Again, we've got good high levels on the mixer. What's the quality like? Okay, so to me that sounded like it had a better overall sound. There was a bit more bass there. It felt like a fuller audio to me. I'm no audiophile. I like music, but it doesn't make me an expert. The audio on that though sounded better than the Sabrent, and to me the Onboard as well, even with the adjustment. And that leaves us just the one, the £20 SoundBlaster, or about $18 when I last looked. Let's give that a go and see if that does everything that it's claimed to do. So once again, we'll just unplug our output, plug into the SoundBlaster. The SoundBlaster has a definite quality feel to it. It's a nice looking product. It feels good, looks good. Let's see if it does what it says on the tin. Okay, FPP has already picked up a SoundBlaster Play 3 rather than a generic audio device, which is good. So let's reboot again to pick it up and make sure FPP has it properly configured at boot. So let's go and have a look and make sure it's configured. I think it is because I heard it. There we go. It's in there as the SoundBlaster Play 3. So let's give this one a blast. Well, to me, that sounded like night and day. That was a lot clearer, a lot crisper, and the audio quality just sounded a lot nicer. We had good levels on the mixer, and I think we found the winner, as we suspected. So we went through audio on the Pi or BBB. Do you need an adapter at all? The answer is, if you're running a hat on a Pi, then yes, you probably will, because you're using the same PWM outputs for your hat as you would need for audio. So you need an external adapter. The levels on the Pi themselves weren't great. Audio was okay, improved slightly with the addition of that string into the command file. But if you're running an FM transmitter, you might need a stronger, a more powerful input than the Pi is able to give. On the BBB, we always need an audio adapter because there is no audio output port on the device. So external is the only way to go. Then we went through the Sabrent little USB audio adapter, £7. Yeah, frankly, that was no better than the Pi's onboard audio, except the levels were slightly higher. So rubbish audio, really, higher levels. UGreen, quality improved. The levels stayed high. It was okay for a tenner. It was okay. Okay, not brilliant. That leaves us the SoundBlaster. For the extra £10 over the UGreen, I think it's worth doing. You're going to get a lovely crisp output. Sounds lovely to match the lovely work that you've been doing on your show. Now, the audio levels on the Pi can, of course, be adjusted from the front page. There's a big volume slider down on the right-hand side here. But I would always leave that at about 70. That gives the best trade-off between the level coming out, the volume level coming out, and not going too high as to cause distortion or any other problems. So leave that at about 70, and where you can, adjust it off board on your amplifier, or maybe you can adjust the levels going into your transmitter if you have one. So I think that sums up today's video. I hope you found it useful. Enjoy, have fun, and I'll see you on the next one. I'm going back to some more happy rock.